All right, so welcome to the BaboonRoom podcast. We have my new buddy, Whit Ostrenko. Is that how you say your last name?
Perfect.
Awesome. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Except if you're Ukraine, then you call it Witold Ostrenko.
Witold Ostrenko. That's more. It's way more fun. All right. Awesome sauce. Who served as president of the Museum of Science and Industry, that's MOSI, for 28 years. He retired from MOSI in August of 2014. 50-year resident and scientist of Florida with 37 years in the museum field. He has a bachelor's in zoology from the Florida Atlantic University. And you were saying you're one of the leading researchers on the Everglades.
Well, when I was doing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's still...
No, it was like I was one of the first people to, delve into... We know less about the Everglades than we know about Michigan.
Really?
Which is a shame,
Yeah, that we should probably know more. So Whit is the international past president of the Worldwide Association of Science Technology Centers, of which MOSI is one, right?
Yep.
And the officer of the Florida Association of Museums, and is actively involved with several scientific community chamber and leadership organizations. He lectures on the museum profession, science topics, and creative problem solving. I'm going to need some creative problem solving. I'm a huge fan of that. He leads trips into the Florida, right? What's that?
World Cafe. That's the best technique for solving problems.
Okay, we're going to have to talk about that because that's awesome. Leads people into the Everglades and Big Cypress Swamp to help people understand and appreciate the universe's natural beauty and its resources. He's led several trips through Florida for the Smithsonian Association travel program. Whit has led the MOSI effort to make it the largest museum in Florida, the only IMAX Dome theater in Florida, which is actually where I saw Star Wars, the latest one that came out, and it was awesome. 6th largest science center in the United States. So you're a big deal. This is what I'm trying to get across. But the most important part of all this stuff, and we're going to be talking a lot about, Bitcoin and blockchain, and honestly, we can take the science discussion wherever you want because I love talking about all that stuff. But you're actually an avid sailor as well.
You bet.
Okay.
Since I was 11.
That's a big deal. Like our goal right now, my wife and I, is to be living on a catamaran inside of 2 years.
I lived on a 32-foot double-ended ketch built in the North Sea for 7 years as a kid.
Wow, nice.
Through my high school years and first year of college.
That's awesome. I lived in a camperized school bus in the Arctic when I got out of university. Yeah.
Mosquitoes.
Yes, sir.
The Everglades.
Too many mosquitoes. It is completely crazy. Yeah. So do you know where Yellowknife, Northwest Territories is?
No.
Okay. So if you basically go, northwest towards, let's say, Montana, North Dakota, that area, and you hit the Canadian border, from here, you're halfway to my house.
Wow.
Yeah. yeah. It's really far north. Really far north. So I guess let's talk a little bit about, you were talking about the Everglades research a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, you were apparently, you were saying you were one of the first people that did it. Like what was that like? What got you into that? What was the, how did all that start?
Well, the Everglades is like a big river of grass. It floods and then it dries out. And I worked with the smaller organisms, these thing called clam shrimp. And they were totally tied to the wet and dry season. And they had never been recorded from the Everglades before. It found 3 different species, a freshwater fairy shrimp that's related to the brine shrimp. So if you understand their life cycle, then you kind of understand what's going on in this wet and dry habitat. Now it's loaded with anacondas, and big boa constrictors. But I heard a cool thing. These veteran Army guys from Middle East who have all this combat experience are now being recruited to go hunt these snakes. And It's a great exercise for PSD sufferers to get that relief of going out and killing something.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome.
Well, that's great.
It's
you imagine like you go to war, you got PTSD, and that's a pain in the ass, and now you hunt anacondas in the Everglades.
Yeah, the guys are loving it because it's they know how to do that.
That's crazy. Yeah, I guess that's your particular skill set, right? So we met just recently because we're now both working in partnership with a Bitcoin mining company, which is I mean, I want to start talking about the just the sheer unbelievable potential of not only the technology itself, but sort of what we're doing with the mining space. But I kind of want to give people some background. We've been doing this a bunch, but I want to keep doing it over and over and over again because it's so new that I think every time people hear a description of like what Bitcoin is or what the blockchain is, the understanding clicks up a little bit more, and I think that there's a lot of value in that. So maybe what we could do is this. Maybe in your own words, describe Bitcoin.
Well, Bitcoin's a digital currency. It's international. It's one currency fits all. You don't have to convert it to dollars. You don't have to convert it to euros or yen or rubles. It's Bitcoin. If you want to buy something, you just buy it with Bitcoin. And you can buy a Tesla. You can pay your tuition at MIT through Bitcoin. You can go to.
Can you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You can go to the MIT store and buy a MIT T-shirt with Bitcoin.
I'm doing that.
But what's cool is you have a wallet. It's on your phone, and you can use the wallet to buy stuff. But you can also get a Visa card. I just saw BitPay by Visa. It's a debit card, and you can take that anywhere and use that in a store to buy whatever you want.
That's awesome.
You're paying Visa, I guess, converts all the Bitcoins to dollar for the merchants, and it subtracts it from your wallet. Whole new terminology. A wallet means a lot.
Right. That's and that's the thing. Like this isn't a phone. It's a supercomputer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my phone app is actually buried 2 pages deep in my phone because I never use it. Right? Like I use Facebook Messenger more than anything. But yeah, I think that it's funny how the old technologies, the names for them just kind of get projected onto because I mean the wallet for Bitcoin. I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about with it, just even the core currency technology, is what the vision is for it, and kind of the philosophical implications of what it means to have a currency that isn't run by the Federal Reserve or isn't run by the euro. Can you maybe speak to that a little bit? Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, I think as we were talking last Wednesday night, people some time ago, I can't remember, maybe a decade or 2 decades ago, wasn't even that long, was talking about this thing called the internet. And people on the major newscasts like, well, what are you going to do with the internet? I had no clue. It's like, what? Okay, so I got on the internet and didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
It's kind of like most people when they hear Bitcoins and this international network of millions of computers, it's like, well, what are you going to do with this thing called the blockchain? Now everybody kind of is having a blockchain, the accounting firms, the banks, and so this blockchain keeps track of every transaction of these Bitcoins. If you go buy your tuition at MIT, that one transaction goes through all of the computers, all those millions of computers, and they decide on what the value of that currency transaction was and puts it up on the web. So everything is in agreement. It's decentralized versus your bank is a centralized kind of experience. You and I probably have a checking account, a credit card with the bank, a savings account with the bank, a 401k with the bank, but it all goes back to the central point versus totally distributed across the planet.
Right.
So if you go to China, if you go to Argentina, you can just use your Bitcoin.
Right. There's no borders. We've been talking a lot about Zimbabwe and the fact that they're. I think they just announced that they're going to use Bitcoin officially in times of emergency, which, as far as their currency is concerned, has been basically all the time. Because when you get countries like that, and I'm not 100% that it's like this in Zimbabwe, but it's definitely like that in a lot of third world countries. If you want to send somebody money, for a charity or for whatever it is, you send them a bunch of money, the central bank's going to take like half or some exorbitant fee just to get the currency, into the country. Whereas you can send them a really, really cheap, phone, and boom, you can send them Bitcoin for free anytime you want.
Yeah, I think that's, Argentina's got huge runaway inflation.
Right.
So why would you want to get paid in their currency when you would rather get paid in Bitcoin, which is much more stable?
Right.
Well,
Or
I
even
just did that.
deflationary.
Pardon?
Even deflationary, right? I mean, the price,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
year on year. Well, Bitcoin's what, up 700% in the last 12, 13 months?
No, it went from 700 to 7,300,
So yeah,
which is
that'd be
oh,
that would be
1,000.
1,000%.
Yeah. Good math. I like it.
Thanks. Woohoo! Nailed it.
So
Yeah, I mean,
that's it's I just went to Italy. I converted my dollars to euros, and then from euros back to dollars, I lost 20% of my money
wow.
in fees and transactions.
Yep.
But if I just used Bitcoin, I wouldn't have lost anything.
Yeah.
In
Well,
fact,
and storing it.
I would have gained money.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Storing it through this last sort of euphoric month, you come back with like, oh, you just paid for your trip by accidentally keeping everything in Bitcoin. Awesome.
Yep.
So what do you think what's your take on sort of the vision for Bitcoin? Let's say it's 10 years down the road. How are countries, like, for example, like the United States, how are they dealing with it? I mean, I know that I'm asking for like rampant speculation, but I think it causes an interesting discussion around it.
Yeah.
Where do you see this technology, not only just for us individuals, but like in a geopolitical sense in 10 years?
Well, it's like the internet. Who's not using the internet?
Right.
Um, Bitcoin is going to be used by, I think, everybody on the planet. We're kind of behind, which puts you and me in the early adapters. But in China, they would laugh at you. It's like, why haven't you been using it for the last 8 years?
Really?
Japan or Europe, U.S. is just coming online to use it.
Wow. What's the adoption percentage, do you think, in China?
Oh wow, I have no idea, but it's a hell of a lot higher, 10 times greater than U.S. I'm sure. I don't know.
Right. I'm gonna Google that. So
No, I think it's gonna take off like the internet did. Nope,
right.
everybody doesn't know what you really don't know what to do with it. I mean, can I buy a Dunkin' Donut with Bitcoin? And the answer is yes.
Right.
But I haven't done it yet. So I did ask. I was at the airport and I asked the gal at a Dunkin' Donuts stand that she took Bitcoin because I knew they did.
Right.
She didn't have a clue.
Huh.
So it's in that. You talk to anybody, just ask them about Bitcoins. They go, "Oh yeah, I heard negative stuff about that."
Yeah, isn't that like the dark
Something
web?
about China, something about
Oh.
it's like the information. Oh, I guess I can say this. Yesterday, got an email, a news item. Amazon just bought 4 domain names. One was Amazon Bitcoin.com. The other one was Amazon Ethereum.com, and 2 others. So you think Amazon knows something that we don't?
It's a net, right. And I think my favorite part about it is that and I want to talk specifically about the blockchain, which is the underlying technology of Bitcoin. But you were kind of saying, that when you make a transaction that goes on the Bitcoin ledger, which is decentralized, it's distributed, it goes to millions of computers, basically all the computers that are either mining or running Bitcoin architecture. So it's very, very safe that way, right? Like it's basically unhackable, which is awesome. Right. But on the backside of that, it's like Napster or the Pirate Bay with peer-to-peer sharing, right? When I'm downloading something from the Pirate Bay, I'm just sharing it with 1 million of my closest internet friends, right? And there's really, as long as the server can stay up, which the Pirate Bay has decentralized, there's copies of it everywhere now, right? They're taking a page from Bitcoin. You can't stop it without turning the internet off, right? So with Bitcoin, even though I'm amazed that countries like the United States haven't been more scared of it, since the United States, this is the reserve currency of the world is the US dollar, that kind of thing, right? I would have thought that people would see the writing on the wall around this, because they haven't, right? Like they're kind of working around the edges a little bit. Silicon Valley's all for it, which is awesome. But what happens when Bitcoin is the reserve currency of the world? Because I don't see any way that doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, I think as retailers understand that they don't have to pay these percentages to other folks like credit cards,
right?
And it's going to be a less of a transaction cost to them,
right?
I think it's just got to be prevalent, just like the internet. It's just going to take time.
Right.
We're not. The U.S. is good at creating things like the internet,
Yeah.
but then it takes a while for it to get going. So give it time. Give it time. We're just jumping on it because we can see the light. There's several ways of making money in Bitcoin. It's not just because you're not like buying like a stock and hoping that it goes up.
Right.
This is going to go up and going to go down, but eventually it's just going to keep going up until who knows when.
Right.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Well, but when we get to the blockchain and we get to mining the blockchain, then I think that's where the real money is.
Agreed. So I want to talk about blockchain. So let's cover that, and then we can take that into mining. Maybe towards the end, I'd actually like to talk about how the blockchain will not just be like currency is sort of the killer app right now for the blockchain, but there's going to be, I think almost any business in every type of business is going to be affected by this technology at some point. But maybe if you could describe for our viewers what your take of the blockchain is. Like, what is this technology that's fueling this sort of currency revolution and, the kind of internet 3.0 or whatever?
Well, you're asking a biologist to talk about high technology. So I'm going to just tell you from what I understand.
Right.
It's not much. What I understand is there's millions of these smaller computers, very high speed, that are hooked all together in this network. And there's a variety of farms. There's farms of these computers in China, in Russia, and in Iceland. And I know the Chinese are looking to build another farm somewhere else. But these millions of computers have to be upgraded. And the fastest computers do the best job at doing the computation, these mathematical ledger things. So when you go to buy something, it records that, and somebody's got to agree on that was the price, and it changes the whole nature of the cost of a Bitcoin and ready for the next transaction. But somebody's got to maintain these computers. So the miners, or like you and me, we're giving money to buy new computers, upgrade computers, maintain those computers, and there's millions of them.
Yeah.
So maintaining the blockchain is just important. But as miners, we get paid in uncirculated Bitcoin so that we can invest more, so they can build more computers. I'm not sure that our blockchain for Bitcoin can be used for anything else because it's being totally utilized by just Bitcoin calculations.
Yeah, it's
so somebody else would have to build their own blockchain for an accounting practice or a banking practice or something.
Right. Yeah, and I think this is what a lot of the other altcoins are in the process of exploring. I think Walton Chain is a fun example. They're basically creating their own little blockchain to basically a blockchain ledger, right? Not so much to handle a currency, although they're backed up by Walton Coin, but to track all RFID chips in all supply chains all over the planet all at once.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a big deal, right? And having that decentralized and accessible to anywhere basically solves, a whole lot of, global supply chain problems, whether it be transportation or, is this zirconium in the right place or whatever it is, or a widget from China has to get to Italy or, whatever. I think what we should do, like maybe down the road, contemplate, from a biologist point of view, what the best analogy would be for, the Bitcoin and the blockchain network.
Yeah, it's probably DNA.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. It's because it's a coding language.
Yeah, it's distributed throughout the species and populations, and so it's a communication device.
Yeah,
internally and externally of all living things. So, and there's enough information there to build an entire human being. So it's a lot of data. But yeah,
I think my mind.
I think there seems to be no end to this. If we're in the early stages of Bitcoin, then
right.
the blockchain is going to continue to grow, they're going to need more miners like you and me investing, and we're going to get paid. And I'm reinvesting 100% of the payments that the blockchain gives to me for giving them the money to buy more computers.
Right. So yeah,
compounding is it's not the price of Bitcoin that's going up that's going to make the difference. It's the compounding of the use of the blockchain, and they're paying me, you know, small numbers of dollars, $17 for a $3,500 investment, but it's per day.
Right.
Per day, 365 days per year, compounded. I just calculated the compounding rate, and I know nothing about compounding rates, but it had a nice little app on the computer. It came out to 191.6%.
That's
compounded per day, every day. So $3,500 will start off generating $17 per day.
Yeah.
Compounding in 90 days, that turned into $25 per day.
Right.
Per $3,500.
Right.
So in a year, $3,500 generates $5,500. So what, just from, it's over 100%.
Right. Year. Yeah. Well, okay. Because we're following the same strategy you're doing. So to give people some background, we've been talking, we made this little crypto consultants page. We've been talking about the fact that we're in, we do trading. We're helping some people with that, but we're kind of steering people away from it because people can get their lunch stolen on the altcoins. Like it's a raucous kind of thing. You really need to know what you're doing. But with this mining thing, like it really is probably the best investment vehicle and potentially the best investment opportunity that human beings have ever seen, right? We're seeing the largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind from fiat currencies going into cryptocurrencies, which I think is unstoppable and inevitable, and it's going to end up being complete because it's just a better way to do it, right? So we get into this mining thing where you can basically buy an ASICs mining rig, which is a computer, like you said, it's running the blockchain, and it's also creating bitcoins from processing these things, right? It's basically it's a whole big thing. Long story short, you plug a computer in, it spits out Bitcoin, which is just digital money, right? So we buy one of these things for $3,500, and it starts cranking out cryptographic equations and running the actual blockchain itself, which is keeping a ledger of all of our transactions, everybody all over the world, right? Yeah. And we're able to basically create bitcoins from that, right? So instead of holding Bitcoin, which is awesome, right? 20 years from now, it's going to be really, really good investment. We're actually creating them and holding them kind of at the same time, which is where you're talking about, when you start getting into the idea that, we've been researching other mining companies to get some mining contracts from them as well, potentially. And none of them that we found will allow you to leverage compound interest daily. That is insane. And we're doing the same thing as you. Like for a minimum of a year, we're holding everything, like all of the commissions we make, or the shares of Bitcoin that we make from these computers that are running in, the systems, like you said, in Iceland and different, basically giant server farms, right?
Yep.
We're keeping 100% of that in because the leverage creates more shares all the time, right? So in, I think what was it, like a couple 100 days is when, like if you're at 100%, you get another full share, or is it 400?
I can't remember. 400, then 800, then 1,000.
Right. Okay.
Days. So yeah, I've been a stock trader, mutual fund trader since I was 18, and I'm 70 right now. And I do well. I do 20-25% a year. Which is insane. That's better.
Really, really good. I've done Forex and stock trading as well. 25%, if you can hold that a lot, that's very, very good.
I'm spending a day, or at least a half a day, looking at charts and analyzing and swing trading and day trading and wealth management trading. I usually use the word trading. I'm like investing and holding. I'm not. Once I get I'm fully invested, which will be next week. I plan on going to the beach.
See ya.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
Right.
I'm just, and you said, someday it's going to be worth a lot of money. No, it's not some year. It's some day. So we're talking 1,000 days.
Right.
And I'll have you and I'll have so much money we won't know what to do with it.
That's the thing. Like, we've got that.
It's insane. I can't even use the numbers.
I know, and because I was talking to a buddy of mine, Tommy Baker. If you're watching this, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm talking to him about this stuff, and we've got an event coming up on. I'm not sure when we're going to release this, but we got an event coming up where we're going to be sharing this with people, with a lot of people we've been talking to, and walking them through this is what we're doing. It's like really freaking exciting. We're super stoked, and because this amount of leverage creates some pretty unbelievable numbers. So I shared with him what you pull off of one of these $3,500 investments over the course of 2 years, assuming that Bitcoin hits 20 grand in 2020 or mid 2020, wherever that our little spreadsheet simulation ends out. And his face was hilarious, and I get it. Because
remember, I just showed you what $500 does.
Yep,
$500 next year will be $5,500 in 1 year, in 12 months.
Yeah, 10x is a little bit better than 25%.
Yeah, and then the what was the next milestone? Well, in three years,
I think the one you sent me was
1,095 days.
Yeah,
it'll be 515,000.
Yeah,
that's if the Bitcoin does not go up from 6,000, which is already at 77,000.
Right. Oops. Yeah, and so I mean this is the thing.
20,000 by the year 2020.
Right.
2020.
And I was talking with my partner Travis Moorhead. I was talking to him about the fact that if I hadn't because I had some people ask me to look into investing into mining rigs, like physical mining rigs, so we were going to build one because obviously that's a really smart way to go, right? So. You can't find them anywhere because companies like the one that we partnered with have bought them all in advance for years.
Yeah.
Right. You literally can't find them anywhere. And then there's power cost, and then you got to basically learn how to code, and then you got to do security, and then you got to do all stuff.
I don't want to work that hard.
No, I don't, like it's crazy, right? And then you find this company that's like you're going to pay less, you're going to make more, and you're like, okay. And if I hadn't mapped out the ROI for each individual ASICs mining rig, I would not believe at all the numbers that we now know are factual.
Yeah,
I had to know that one mining rig is actually capable of doing 4x ROI every single year.
Yeah,
I had to know this.
Yeah.
Now, if one mining rig can do that, but you can actually buy more shares all the time in a big conglomerate of people that are adding, 500 to 1,000 ASICs miners a week or a month or whatever it is, the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Then we get into the reason why we're doing this. I mean, it's so much money. I got a nice little sailboat. I go sailing. I'm basically set.
Right.
But
what does it mean?
I've got grandkids. I'm going to buy them a $500 mining spot.
Right.
And when they're 18 or 20, they'll be able to go to MIT at no cost to them.
Paying with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Buy a wing of the school.
Yeah.
So
you're like the Bitcoin endowment.
I busted my tail to raise roughly $5 million for Mosey's endowment.
Right.
But we had to wait for people to die to collect it.
Really?
Yeah, because people were giving money in their wills. And anytime you give money in your will, you never die. You must
right. It's just like that's like an automatic live forever bonus.
So with $500, I'm picking my charities, and I'm going to invest $500, and I'm going to pledge that block, my part of the blockchain.
Right.
And I'm going to pledge that, and in 3 years, I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah.
So the $500 will be worth a little over $1 million.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make $1 million pledge with $500 worth of Bitcoin in a 100% reinvestment.
Yeah.
So why would you want to do that? Or you can, I'm just going to make a irrevocable part of my will,
right?
These usernames in my blockchain,
right?
And let them have the password, and they can have the money,
right? And that's that.
And obviously, I don't have to do anything to make it grow.
Right. So I've been doing a lot of trading.
Look at another chart again.
Right. And honestly, Travis had, he started trading a little bit before me. Like I had a little bit more experience doing stocks and Forex and stuff like that. So I love these charts because they're hilariously easy to call.
Yeah.
But you're still doing it. I'm still obsessed. I'm still looking at Blockfolio every 10 minutes. And the projections are that I will make dramatically less trading than I can mining.
I mean,
which
I'm going
is
to take
really interesting.
I'm going to take some of my net and I'll put it into Apple and Facebook and Berkshire Hathaway and
Right.
All my favorites, Google and Amazon, and but just because I believe in it.
Right.
I'm just not going to look at them anymore.
Right.
I'm writing 2 books right now, and I got to do that. One's on how to raise 120 million in capital for your not-for-profit. Another one is how to be entrepreneurial at a not-for-profit.
Right.
So one of the chapters is going to be invest in Bitcoin for your endowment.
Right.
$500. You're not going to invest $500 to make $1 million.
Well, and here's the thing. So, what in your mind? Because I want people to understand that there's some basic rule sets around why that happens. It's just, I mean, you and I both understand the math. With that amount of leverage over time, with 100% re-up, doing the daily compounding, stuff gets crazy, and Bitcoin's going to 20 grand by 2020. I think that's like a bare minimum, right?
Right.
But let's say that it has some insane correction or something like that. That it goes up to 20, but by the time we want to get in or start taking money out, let's say it corrects down to 4,000 per Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You're still at a cool $250,000, right? And because the re-ups are still going on, you can set it to whatever percentage you want. It's punching out basically residual income monthly. You can set it to do that,
Sure.
right? So
you can take the money, some of the money, a little bit of money, buy groceries, or you can really invest it all.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about a rule set that has us instead of because I think you go down to the minimums after about 14, 15 months, whatever it is, right, and start actually pulling money out. We're talking about scaling out because we actually want to take some income at some point, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But for 3 months do 10%, for 3 months do 20%, and so on and so on and so on, which basically makes the 4-year, 5-year, 6-year number just stupid big. And I think and this is really why I got really, really excited about sitting down with you, Whit, and why Travis is so excited. He's worked with all sorts of charities. I know you guys are talking about getting a bunch of charities in a room, which I think is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant idea. You get to the point where we got a couple $1 million each, whatever it is. So what? It comes a point where, like you said, you're comfortable or whatever. Money's sort of been solved as an issue in your life. And now you can turn around and say, okay, well, what kind of good can we do in the world? And I love that you're already thinking in that scale. Could you maybe talk to us about how you see this being able to work in charities? Give us a synopsis of the Bitcoin for Charity chapter in your book.
All right. So one of the things I did was start my own not-for-profit, and the mission is to eliminate poverty in the world as we know it today.
I'm a fan. Sign me up.
So, my target audience are disabled veterans, Native Americans, women in general, single mothers, African American young men, and teach them how to invest. So I was going to teach them how to make 20% a year on their money. Right?
Because 20% a year in the rest of the world is amazing.
So I was going to get government grants to seed $25,000 per veteran, and once I taught them how to invest that, they would make $25,000, and I take that $25,000 and give it to another veteran. So now I'm just going to invest one of my trees in Bitcoin mining.
Yep.
And give it to this not-for-profit, which will generate a couple $1 million, and I'm going to fund my own seed money for these others to come in and learn how to do Bitcoin, learn how to do long-term wealth investment,
right,
and become independent entrepreneur business people,
right,
get off of all government subsidies, get off of whatever. You're just going to work for yourself.
Yep.
Because most of the people I just mentioned are not employable.
Yeah.
Convicts that spent their time in jail, now they come out. What kind of job are they going to get?
Right. Well, exactly. And you wonder why the recidivism rate is so high.
So we're going to teach them in prison to come out and,
It's funny. I was talking to Travis, got his car stolen, right? And one of the first things I said was, I mean, obviously this guy apparently has done a couple of crappy things before and stuff like that. Cool. What would happen if he goes to jail, if we bought him a $500 pack, right? Just screw it. You lost your car. Life sucks, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I always
know about Bitcoin investing and
right. But I always love to think about
stealing a car.
Right. I always love to think about doing the opposite. Right. Exactly. All the cars. Like even just as a thought experiment or whatever, what would be the result of just what most people would probably see as a ridiculous form of just selflessness or whatever, right? Like, okay, you're gonna do this thing anyway. What happens if you just give them one? Like, sign it over to them in a couple of years, let them know, hey, the second you get out, this is yours. We're just gonna give it to you. Pass it forward. Like do good in the world. Or not. It's whatever. It's not on my shoulders anymore.
But it's not easy to get involved in this Bitcoin. The mining stuff, the terminology, to train young people. I mean, I substitute taught high school kids, when I retired. I thought I'd give back. I'm sorry, but the curriculum in our high schools in America is, I'll tell you, it sucks.
Garbage. Yeah.
It doesn't teach anybody how to do anything. I was teaching physics to kids that are not going on to college.
Right.
I was teaching biology to kids who are not going to go on to college.
Yeah.
I was teaching earth and space science to kids that are not going on to college.
Right.
And when I was talking about my investing, they all perked up.
Right.
The math that's involved, the learning about economy, they're learning about checkbooks and credit cards and currencies, and they'll pay attention. They'll get A's in that if they knew that it was going to return them something.
Right. Yeah. What you can
it's screwed up.
Right. You can show them the value in that.
So I'm teaching. This is the real learning for my not-for-profit.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And I think that's why we started the whole crypto consultants page, because, no matter what you're going to do in the Bitcoin space, the more people, that we can teach about how to do it. We want to show people, here's how to do a ledger. Here's how to do cold storage. Walk people through it over and over and over again until it becomes,
don't keep all your money in your wallet because it could get hacked.
Yeah. I mean, and it's
that's
not
all I hear about it, these bad stories, so, keep your grocery money in your wallet.
Right.
Get a cold storage device to keep your 100 Bitcoins.
Right. Yeah. We're actually going to be doing, I think, monthly security reviews on the best technology and best practices. So, I mean, a lot of this, like, basically now, email password management, right, is probably the most important thing to us, period. Right. With an email and a password, or with a login and a password for, whether it's our mining accounts or our trading accounts or our wallet accounts. That's basically the gatekeeper that a bank guard used to be, right? So you need to have really strong passwords. You need to have really good password management, because that's how Bitcoin gets hacked. I was talking to somebody just today, actually, about the fact that, it would take all of the NSA computers on the face of the earth like 10 years to hack one Bitcoin ledger, like one ledger on the blockchain, which, and the second you do that, the rest of the ledgers will notice and get, basically isolated, right? The technology is really, really cool.
I think there's four I guess, walls that you have to get through in order to get to one.
Right. It's not feasible, but people are stupid, right? Yeah. You know how easy it is to hack your email? Really easy. Ask the Clintons, right? Like it's not hard to do. So people need to understand that when people talk about Bitcoin getting hacked, they're talking about, you giving up your email password or somebody getting onto your computer or whatever, all of which, it's like a personal internet risk management, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the core educational benefits to teaching others how to do this is phenomenal.
Right.
And, I just know so many people that are they're doing away with food in order to get their prescriptions.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
I agree.
I'm not going to let that kind of thing happen if I have anything to do with it.
I like it a lot. Now, this is a little bit sausage making for anyone who's confused about this. We can talk about it later, but I want to ask you specifically, because I want to get this out in the world before I forget about it. we develop, groups of these mining contracts, right? Like we basically, because I know you've bought a couple of them. Moorhead and I are actually finishing. We're building out ours this week. It's why I'm getting my mom a $500 package. I'm talking about getting my brother a $500 package, that kind of thing, right?
My 92-year-old mother decided that she was going to invest $1,000.
That's awesome.
She has $17,000 in cash to her name.
Wow.
She's investing $1,000.
I mean,
how brilliant is that?
It's smart.
It'd be $1 million. Less than. So
right. She's talking about making like an endowment for your grandkids or whatever, right? So anyway, my point is this. Since we're, a lot of us are doing this and we want to accrue that value for ourselves, and that's fantastic. I would love to see us maybe 2 months, 3 months down the road, right? Because this thing is spreading like wildfire. There's going to be a lot more people, in our little niche investor circle before too long. I would like to work with you to get a group of people together like that who are all going to pledge a minimum of $500. And we can put a window or a timeline on it, whatever it is, because that's something that I feel really strongly about as well. Like the point is we can get stupid rich doing this, but honestly, so what, right? It depends on what we do with it after the fact. And I think, using this as a vector for education, using this as a vector to deal with income inequality, which, is one of the biggest problems on the face of the earth. That'll wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning, and that's sort of my excuse for doing everything these days. If I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I got to work on this, that's awesome. I want to keep doing that. So maybe we can.
I had to wake up in the middle of last night just to. There's so many miners trying to get in.
Yeah.
Couldn't buy my mines at 0 GMT when they reintroduced more mining abilities. I couldn't get. I got in at 3 a.m. and on Saturday morning.
Wow.
So this is, you guys, if you want to get involved, you're on the ground floor, but
you can't wait. Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. Like Dave was telling us that basically like 10 to 4 is the best time to get in. Because that's the thing. Like the company we're dealing with, they've got a certain.
That's 10 p.m.
Right. Yes. Like nighttime.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good with it. And that's the thing. I think
Except the Saturday morning was really good for me. I bought about 15 spots today.
Nice. All right, there you go. Fleshing out the trees.
One of these was the start of the Ostrenko Family Foundation. So nice. my sister and my 2 children are going to be the board chair. I mean, the board people.
Yeah.
We're going to determine they can only give the money away. They can't use it for anything else.
See, okay.
For charity only.
This answers one of the questions. I do this Facebook Live show called Coffee on the Dock, which we should totally do from a sailboat at some point. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But one of the questions I usually ask my guests is, if you had $1 billion you couldn't spend on yourself at all, what would you do? Just as a kind of an in to see what their value set is, without saying, hey, what's your value set? Because like people have no idea. I don't know, right? But when you give them you hand them $1 billion, it's okay. You got to spend all of it, and none of it can be on you. Right. And so I love the fact that you're doing that, and I'm probably going to have to copy that because that's pretty brilliant. But yeah, so let's set up a time, a couple months from now, whatever it is. And because I'm down to put a package on that. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Game on. So, okay. A couple rapid fire questions. What is the price of Bitcoin Christmas 2020?
Conservatively, the folks in our group are saying 20,000. So I threw that out to my best friend in Seattle, Washington. And he goes, "That's funny you should say that, because his best person that advises him on things said 50,000."
See, this is the thing. 20 is the minimum. In my like where my guess is at, because it's tracking with adoption and Moore's law, right? If it keeps doing that, it's 50 to 100 by 2020.
Well, and people may be laughing at that, but Warren Buffett just came out and said the Dow is going to be at 1 million.
What?
That's what everybody says. But do the math. Remember back when it was 500?
Yeah.
Which was not that long ago.
Right.
A year, but go from 500 to 23,000, which is what it is now.
Yeah, scale differential. It's going to happen the same way.
23,000 is to 1 million in the same time period.
Interesting.
So in our lifetimes. Well, maybe not mine, but probably yours.
Yeah, well, the secret serum sauce is coming out pretty soon. I mean, we might all be immortal. It just has to come out fast.
Well,
Um,
my mom's 92, so I probably hopefully will get there.
all
So,
right.
but it's so my brand new 6-week old grandson Oscar
Yeah.
doesn't know anything about this, but he's going to be his whole life will be bitcoins and the internet.
Right. Yep.
And he's going to go, God, well, who? My granddad, bless his heart, he passed away a long time ago. But I started my not-for-profit research business on fighting cancer and Alzheimer's based on my grandfather's donation of these bitcoins. Now I have $100 million research institute.
That is literally making me misty-eyed right now, because that is how the world should frickin' work, in my humble opinion. And
Look at Ben Franklin. He left his money in an endowment for the Franklin Institute.
Yeah.
What year was that? How many years? 300 years ago?
It's a little while ago. Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, it just.
Don't ask me what Bitcoin's going to be in 300 years. I have no idea.
Whew. Well, I think Bitcoin will be. I think it'll still have value in, like, say 100 years, but whether, and I don't think it's going to be Ethereum, but whatever comes next will be.
Well, hopefully through our research of our not-for-profits that we're going to invest in, currency will no longer be used.
Okay. This is okay. I was hoping that we would get to the same page on this.
Nobody will have to pay for anything.
It just won't mean anything
because it's useless.
Right.
You have to eat, so the farmers need to get paid. So the farmers actually need to buy a tractor so that they get the tractor, so they can produce the food, but there's no cost for the food, so that you can become a doctor and not charge any patients because you're getting your food for free, you're getting your housing for free.
Yeah.
There's no everybody has.
Right.
Have not.
Hyperabundance.
That's it. Abundance. Have you read the book called Abundance?
Yep.
And that's what it's all about.
It's the Star Trek economy. When you have a hole in the wall, and there's holes in the wall everywhere that self-replicate or whatever it is, right? Like 3D printers printing 3D printers, that taken to the nth degree, nobody needs anything.
No.
Right? That's not how the world will work.
That's the end game.
Right. So the only place of value is the captain's chair on the Enterprise, baby.
Yep.
Like a true meritocratic society, which would be super fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. I want to, like, any conversation that ends and then it'll be the Star Trek economy and everyone will be awesome. I think that's a perfect place to leave it. Yeah. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for coming on the Baboon Room here, and we'll be posting this on the interwebs before too long. And it's like anytime I can have a conversation around this, this stuff, especially considering you're doing the mining stuff with us, and I want people to be exposed to other kinds of people that have done some amazing things in their life already, just in the normal previous society, right? Where we can let people know that we have studied this thing. There is a reason why we think that $20,000 for a Bitcoin in 2020 is going to be super easy, because we're already way ahead of schedule. There's a reason why the company that we work with, even though it posts numbers that don't make sense to the average person and shouldn't, frankly, when you break it down to its initial little pieces, each mining rig absolutely can do this, and it's possible. When you add in daily compounding, that's what happens, right? So it's such a new and incredible thing that I think people are going to need to hear it from a lot of different kinds of people to really get that sense that this actually is real.
Yeah, the people that said that it was going to be 2020 said that in November of 2017, the price of a Bitcoin was going to be $4,
not $7.
They missed it by 50%. So what's 50% on top of 20? $30,000 by 2020.
Well, but that's the thing.
We would be laughing. Remember, we did that podcast and we said Bitcoin was going to be 20,000. 100 or whatever.
All right. Okay. So because this is there for posterity, and I'll send us a link to send it to us like New Year's Eve 2020.
Right. Oh my God.
Make a guess. Like, it's tracking with Moore's Law. Everything has gone mental. Amazon signed up last year. Just take a run at it. We'll see who's closest, and whoever's closest, I don't know, gets a mining contract or something, because by then it won't matter.
No, it gets a free sail.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're doing this. We're doing this bet for real. Whoever's closest takes the other one out on their boat because we're for sure gonna have a boat by then.
Oh yeah. Well, I got one.
All right. There you go.
Go.
Okay. 2020 New Year's Eve. What's the price of Bitcoin?
40,000.
I was gonna pick 43, but that feels cheesy now because if it's higher than that.
That's okay.
All right. So you're
40
40,000. I'm 43,000.
Got it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Boom. Either way, we go sailing, so it's a win-win.
The way it should be. It should not be no losers.
Exactly. Amen to that, brother.
Don't even,
all right. Thanks, Whit. And honestly, I think we should probably do this again.
All right.
All right. Cheers, brother.